All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:33. Gage will not be attending. He's excused this evening. I don't think there's any public comment. You folks are here for an appointment. So we'll go into statutory and advisory business. Patriots Car Wash?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
My father-in-law.
Great.
I'm just seeing how this goes.
You've got the floor. Break green light and
I do.
introduce yourself.
I just heard about this meeting a few days ago, so I don't know much about it, or I was told that I should come in, present what I'm trying to propose, and answer any questions you might have for us. So I'm proposing an addition of a 3 garages, a total of 5 bays to the existing structure at 376 Daniel Webster Highway. The existing structure is being utilized or used as a car wash and a detail center. The proposed addition, one of the bays will be used as a touchless car wash, a self-service car wash, if you want to say, and the other 4 bays will be used as a repair shop. So that is the proposed addition. The addition, the lot is big enough to, is more than enough space for the addition. There's enough parking spots or spaces for parking, and it's within the setbacks that are required setbacks for the commercial zoning in that district.
Okay, having looked at your, your proposal, and maybe I just want to explain to you what we're here for.
Okay.
So the setbacks, the parking spots, that's all planning and
Zoning,
zoning. You've
okay.
already been there. We're here as the Conservation Commission to protect the aquifer,
Okay.
protect the water in town, and having a car wash, especially an automatic touchless car wash, and then 4 bays that are going to do mechanic repair work. That's why we're interested, because we
Okay.
want to know what your plans are with the spent oil, transmission fluid, antifreeze. We want to know about the floor drains and what's going on there.
Yep.
So those are the questions we're going to have. So if you want to present to us on what you have planned there,
Yeah.
please do.
No, absolutely. So the existing use is not being, honestly, nothing is being changed with the existing use, and other than adding the 4 bay repair shop. So the car wash addition, or the bay addition, is basically, will be drained to the existing car wash drainage, which we already have in place an oil water separator. That's being utilized, and it gets cleaned on twice a year by yearly basis. We have somebody that comes in and pumps out everything else. The oil water separator was designed for 250 cars a day. Basically, we in a good day we do 50 cars. So even with the addition of the self-serve car wash, I'm not expecting to add any more than. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to add much than 5 to 10 cars a day in terms of, because it might take away a little bit from the tunnel. So some customers that utilize the tunnel will be utilizing the self-service, and vice versa. It just will be open 24/7. So we're hoping to capture a little bit more business by opening a little bit more hours. So everything is going to be, it's going to connect to that's the only space that will have a floor drainage in. So that's the only space that will utilize the floor drainage. It will be connected to existing oil and water separator that's already in operation at the car wash. The other 4 bays, we are not changing oil. We're not doing transmission. It's basically a body shop. That's the repair that we are proposing. So we won't be doing any oil changes or transmission or anything else. The only thing that we'll be doing down the road is painting vehicles. And with that, I already reached out to the DES to see what their requirements are for paint booths and so on and so forth. based on the information that was provided to me by the Department of Environmental Services in the state of New Hampshire, realistically, there is not much regulations needed if you paint less, or if you use less than 500 gallons of paint per year. And that's considered because it's like somebody painting their house, basically. There's not much more. And if you do a large amount, then there is obviously paint booths that are required, and then some air filtration system. They do have requirements if you paint less than 500 gallons of how the exhaust fans in the building can be installed. So there's some requirements for exhaust fans and so on and so forth, and they will be inspecting the property to make sure that the exhaust fans and installation and all that falls within the DES guidelines. I'm not very, I'm not 100% on the regulations on DES. We won't be painting, or I'll be checking with I'll be getting some assistance from people that will do the installation of the fans and all that stuff, that have done that kind of work before, and make sure that it falls within DES guidelines, obviously. And down the road, if things go well and we start painting more cars, we'll be obviously putting in a paint booth on the property with all the required filtration systems that the DES requires. But in terms of drainage and so on and so forth, there's no change whatsoever. The only additional drainage is that one self-service car wash will be connected to the existing drainage that we have in place.
So have you been to the planning board already?
I have.
And did you have to submit plans for the building itself?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a bunch of plans. This is just one of them.
Right. So the building you're going to construct then, I take it?
I'm sorry?
You're going to construct more
Correct.
buildings, right?
Yeah.
So what are you doing with the roof drains and that sort of?
So the existing structure, the existing parking lot structure is all paved as it is. So there won't be an additional what they call paved space or whatever it is. So
Pervious area.
correct. So there's nothing additional. So they didn't require any additional drainage. There's already an existing drainage on the site. There's 3 drainage that are existing on the site that will be more than sufficient for the regular drainage.
So you're going to direct your building roof drains to those sites then?
Correct.
Are you use gutters, or are you just going to let it drip? Is it all drip edge?
No, there's going to be gutters. I have the architect did the plans for the building, and basically there's going to be gutters on the front and the side of the building that will drain. It's a flat roof building, but there'll be gutters on both sides. The existing structure has what do you call it, middle of the roof drainings or whatever. I don't know the exact name for it, but it's literally just there's drains inside the roof, and they go out to the side of the building and drain to the parking lot. So when the structure is built, it's going to almost have similar drainage with gutters around.
So how are you planning to store the materials that you'll be using as part of your body shop business?
So body shop, it doesn't really require that much storage of any material. The only thing with bunch of auto parts like Sanella and O'Reilly and everybody around, they deliver daily to you. So you order whatever you need on that day and then use it. And mainly, honestly, if you want to, not that much gets fixed nowadays, as you know. All the parts get ordered new. So if there's a car that needs, like, say, a bumper, you're just gonna order the bumper, have the new bumper, delivered, and then you get rid of the older parts. So there's not gonna be much storage on site. In terms of paint, if we start doing that on site, and fire department and state regulations is you have to have a fireproof cabinet, so you can store the paint inside the fireproof cabinets. But again, I'm not expecting to have much of that at all. We'll have if we store it, we'll have the fire cabinet, and we're installing a sprinkler system anyways. The fire department requires us to install a sprinkler system for the addition, so that will be in place as well.
Do you currently have a spill kit?
We do have a spill kit. I just don't. Honestly, we have never used it because again, you're washing cars. It's rare. It's not anything. We don't do oil changes or anything that requires, or if gas stations will have spill kit, garages and things like this for washing cars. It's rarely. I mean, I'm not taking anything out. Just washing the car per se. So realistically, it's there's not much out there, and all the, everything we use. The town of Merrimack have somebody that came in and checked, all the chemicals that we use, and all the chemicals we use are water-based that are not harmful to the environment. That is basically, it's all water soluble. Even the paint nowadays, car paint is also water-based stuff. Nobody sells the lead-based paint like it used to be back in the day. So there's not that much in terms of environmental exposure or danger or anything else for what we'll be using, other than, again, the exhaust fumes. But that's not considered environmental. It's more considered to be, just a bother to the neighbors if that. And that's why the state requires the exhaust fans to be pointed up in a certain direction and so on and so forth.
Does anybody else have any questions? Pete?
Now, the body work you're doing, you're gonna create dust, correct?
Correct.
And the dust hits the floor. So how do you guys get rid of all that?
I mean, the only dust is if you put compound on the car and sand it down, and when you sand down, it's you just basically pick it up with at the end of the day you got to clean your bays and just put it in the trash. That's but again, all the materials used in the compound is not harmful to the environment either. It's nothing that requires special removal or anything else per the DES guidelines. I again called the DES. I got probably it's like 25 pages of manuals you have to go through, and I just try to understand as much as I can, or I try to get out of it as much as I can. And again, the only stuff that they actually strict about, or the only things that there is, they want you to make sure that you're strict about is disposal of paint thinner. That's a big thing, that you don't throw paint thinner on the ground or whatever it is, because that has gases and stuff like this, which I don't know why anybody would do that. If you just leave the can open, it will evaporate in a day, and that's what they require. Just add some napkins to it and leave it open, and it will evaporate by itself. And the second thing is, if you are painting over 500 gallons of paint per year, they require special ventilation and filtration systems to be in place. Which again, a small body shop, there's no way a small body shop will paint 500 gallons. I mean, you have to paint a lot of cars to paint 500 gallons. It's just as an example, I run Peter's Nissan in Nashua, so we have a body shop, and I know how that works over there. It's a big body shop, and for a car, it's half a pint will paint a car. So for you to get to 500 gallons, you have to paint thousands of cars. So you have to be a really busy body shop to get there. So.
Your current floor drains that are part of the car wash,
Mhm.
do they go into the town's sewer system?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
They do. Again, they go first to an oil-water separator.
Right,
They
yeah.
go through the oil-water separator and then into the sewer system.
Okay.
Or, I don't know if it's sewer or just a regular drainage system, but
It should be sewer.
probably,
Because
yeah.
it's not stormwater, I don't think.
No, the outside is stormwater, which there's two separate, there's a stormwater, there's, I think, 3 places where it collects stormwater on the outside, and the inside everything goes to the oil water separator,
Yeah.
and it goes from there, I'm pretty sure, to the sewer system. I do pay a water and sewer bill, so I'm assuming that's the case. So.
Yeah, I only ask because Horseshoe Pond is across the
Right
street
next
from
door,
you.
correct, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
so, and
Absolutely.
we've had issues with the pond and things coming off the road going into the pond, so we're
Yeah.
trying to take care of it, since that feeds directly into the Merrimack River, which then feeds drinking water to the city of Nashua, the city of Lowell, and everything else down the river.
Absolutely,
So,
no, I understand.
Existing building, do you know what year that was built?
1981 or so.
And was it built with this use in mind?
Yes, it was. It was a proposed car wash, and they did it exactly to the plans, and that's where the oil water separator and everything else was constructed.
Is it still the same oil water separator?
Yeah,
Wow.
same exact thing. It's literally it's a 500-gallon tank that the water goes into. The oil float to the top, and I don't know I don't know exactly how it works, but it just basically after 6 months to a year, you need to pump it out to clean it, and then it does again, fill up again, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the science behind it.
Great. Does anybody else have any?
Yeah, the last question I have is, are you planning any landscaping as part of this project?
I'm hoping so. Obviously, just we'll be at least adding a few trees, basically, and just the front, adding some evergreens onto the front, just to kind of make the site a little bit better. Grass is just hard to maintain. I think I'm just gonna change that to between stone and mulch and a lot of evergreens, just to make it look prettier per se for everything. Yeah.
Because we would request then that if you're going to do any sort of fertilization during your landscaping, that you use no phosphate fertilizer.
Okay.
So if you've ever seen or bought fertilizer, it always has 3 numbers attached to it. Sometimes it's called 10, 10, 10, or whatever. The middle number is phosphate. We'd like that middle number to be 0.
Okay.
Because phosphates have been a problem in Horseshoe Pond, and if any of it ever migrates across the road,
Yeah.
it creates. Have you ever heard of the the blue blooms?
Cyanobacteria
Yeah.
bloom.
Yeah, where the bacteria, where no one can swim in, all that stuff.
He fishes there every day, so
Yeah,
we want to
yeah.
make sure we keep the pond
That's right,
good.
yes. I've got some 4 and 8 pound bass out of that pond,
Yeah.
so it's a nice place to go.
Yeah,
I take
it
my
is.
grandson, so he's getting little fish.
Yeah, yeah.
Bluegills and sunnies.
Growing up, we used to pull 30-pound carps out of that
Yeah,
pond.
wow.
Yeah, because they'd come in from the river. So,
Yeah.
we're
That's
talking
great.
fish almost as big as I was.
Wow.
So,
So if you're planting, then you also want to make sure you're using non-invasive species too, like no burning bushes.
Yeah. Like I said, honestly, I don't know. I'm not very familiar with that, but I'll keep that in mind. Obviously, when I start looking for plants and things like this, just make sure I use everything that's environmentally friendly in the area. So
yeah, we encourage people to use what you'd normally find around here.
yeah,
Right, so if you're going to plant trees, plant a maple tree or an oak tree or something like
Okay.
that.
that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
that way, you're not bringing new species into the environment.
No,
So-
not a problem. I won't be doing anything crazy. Just go to Home Depot and get what they have.
Great. I don't think we have too many alterations here. Just a note about we're gonna propose a note
Mhm.
about the fertilizer.
Yeah.
And your native plantings, and that's about it.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Don't stay up too late.
Oh, thanks. All right, moving into new business. The 48th annual meeting and conference for the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. Did everybody see the invite? I think so. Pete and Steve, you haven't been to this before. I think the rest of us have. It's a really good way to get to know what other commissions around the state are doing, and they always do a new to your conservation commission section on one of the breakouts. Tim has in fact taught that before, so he's brought a lot of other commissions up to speed with that teaching. It's a great opportunity to know what is going around statewide, and there are a lot of experts. So Jeff Littleton from Moosewood Ecological, he's done breakout sessions. I think he's even been the main speaker at the meeting before. So it's great to to learn, and it's one of the things that we budget from the town budget. Part of our mission is education, and our education is part of that as well. So this is paid for by the town for us to get better as a commissioner.
Did we get that invite in the email, Matt?
We did, yeah.
Okay, I'll go back through it, okay.
All right, this will be your first time too.
Yes.
Yeah, I certainly highly encourage everyone to go. What we've done in the past is we have people register, and as part of the registration process, now I haven't looked at the registration for this year. Fortunately, it falls on my wife's birthday, so I'm going to be careful not to disturb that. So, but we have people register, and there should be an option that says pay by check, and pretty much check that box. Make a copy of the screen that you're on or whatever, and then we provide those to Sharon in the office, and Sharon will collect them and then write one big check for all of us that attend, as opposed to everyone having to be reimbursed. Okay, so and the NHACC has been very open to us doing it that way. So, but the best thing to do though is to do it, not wait to the last moment, because we really try to pay before we all go. That way they know they have the money, because the NHACC is nonprofit, and they need the funds in order to cover the rental fee for the school building. I think it's
It's at Pembroke Academy again.
yeah. So
Which is a great place. The auditorium's huge.
What's the
And,
date?
November 3rd. It's breakfast and lunch they provide. The lunch is great. It's a lot of farm to table stuff.
right.
Yeah, so it's it's well done.
Yeah.
If you've got the day, it's well worth it.
Yeah, because you will be there till the middle of the afternoon. So, but yeah, is there a session for new commissioners? Usually there is.
I looked through these.
Yeah, I didn't look closely, so. Yeah, because no one reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do it again, so. Not sure if yeah, I guess I'd have to look closer. Not sure what this one is, because it kind of got cut off.
Which one?
Can I just take a quick look? Yeah, it is. It's the first one. It's under Foundations, Fundamentals of Conservation Commissions, with Tracy Tarr, Zach, I don't know. So those are members of the board. Tracy is also a wetland scientist with GZA. She's actually spearheading that project we're doing on looking at Merrimack to see what sort of wetland projects that or other ARM-related projects we should consider. So you'll get to know someone who we're actually contracting with. So she is a commissioner, or has been a commissioner, and is a wetland scientist. But yeah, that's the one right there. That first one right there. So the format of that, they mix up every now and then, but they usually have a guide they give you for brand new commissioners, which kind of walks you through some of the RSA laws that govern conservation commissions, and provides you other hints and things like that. So some of the other classes they've done, again, I didn't look at it closely. I apologize, because since I knew I wasn't going, but they have had sessions on how to read building plans, how to read site plans as a conservation commissioner, how to understand, how the wetlands are marked on those plans and stuff like that too. So if you see something like that, you might want to take a look at it too, because And part of our job, as you saw today, is to look at projects here in town, so. So if it's the 3rd, and if Sharon needs time to get things done, I would expect that we probably all should try and get together and know by the first meeting in October, which is in a few weeks, whether or not we're going. That way Sharon can have an idea of who to expect. We'll be giving her a receipt. So, right, so I would ask Gage to put this on the agenda again for next meeting.
Yeah, for sure. Are any of you thinking that it might work?
I would
Okay.
love to, but my son got tickets for a concert a while back, so it's that day.
So at least 2 or 3. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to attend.
Okay. Yeah, it's well worth it.
It is well worth
sure.
it. I was bummed when I saw that it was the same week, the same day.
We usually carpool in a Prius.
He's serious.
Was it your pickup last year or something?
Yeah, maybe.
I rode with you last time.
I pushed the green
driver.
eco button. Yeah.
Good driver. I wasn't like,
All right, great. The next thing we have is the New Hampshire Tree Farm Program. So Gage has kind of been carrying the torch on this in the past, so it's kind of a bummer for me to pick it up because I really don't know what he's done with the tree farm. But we did get a letter saying that they re-inspect every 6 years and we're up for inspection. And it's Eric from Bay State. So we have used Bay State as our forester in the past. So we've dealt with this, company before. But I don't know as far as setting up the inspection. I don't know.
So earlier this year, Gage, we spoke about tree farms and whether or not we wanted to maintain our tree farm status. And I think the consensus of the commission is that we didn't. Mainly because they require active management plans. And we had some confusion as to which properties were part of the tree farm and which ones weren't. And at the time, I think, if I remember correctly, Gage really didn't have the time to spearhead it and all that. This was something that Andy and a previous commission put together. But if you go on their website and you look, you have to have an active, up-to-date management plan, and you have to show that you're doing your own inspections and a bunch of things. And the whole premise of the tree farm is to show that you're actively managing your forests with the intent of tree farming, right? Producing forest products is, I think, how they call it. So I don't think we manage any of our properties with the active intent of producing forestry projects. Yes, we do forestry on some of our properties. We haven't in a while, but we mostly do that because we believe we want to rehabilitate or improve habitat, as well as we've used it to help generate some revenue to offset some projects we needed to do. As part of doing a forestry project where it was needed, and I'll use the middle school property there is we also needed emergency access, so we structured the project so that the road that was created to bring the logs in and out could also be used for us as an emergency access and for regular user use, and now we know it as the Gateway Trail. So, so for me, and this is just me, and please don't let my opinion guide you, is I don't see that we need to be investing the time and energy to keep ourselves in the tree farm project when we've got a whole bunch of other things going on. So, and we're not really managing our properties for forestry projects. Now, there are active tree farms here in Merrimack. The Village District manages a number of their properties as a tree farm and follow the tree farm guidelines. Have, I believe, Bay State Forestry and previously John Newt, who was the cooperative forester around here, help with their management plans. But they actually do that. They create forestry projects. They do logging, selective cutting, and they do tree trimming where they trim branches in order to make the logs better. Because if you remove the branches early enough, the tree will heal over the branches and prevent a knot, or at least diminish the need for the exposure of a knot. So when you take your straight pine trees down, they don't have knots in them, which makes them clear wood, which makes them far more valuable. So, and they manage some of their other trees in order to bring monetary value for the village district. They do it smartly. They don't take every tree down. They selectively cut, but they've been doing it long enough where they can now cut once, and 15 years later go back and cut again, and they have a sustainable forest product coming out of those properties. So, but again, we don't manage our properties for that. We manage them for a number of reasons: recreational use, wildlife habitat preservation or creation, and a whole host of others, wetland protection and whatever. So it's just my 2 cents on if we are a volunteer group and have limited time and energy, maybe this is one of the things that we don't do. But again, if someone here wants to champion it, I'm all for it. So
Tim, what pieces of land has the Conservation Commission forested, tree farmed? Have we done it?
as a tree farm, as a designated tree farm, I don't think any. There was one property that was designated a town forest. That's one of the many parcels that make up Greater Woods, but I'm not sure we ever actually forested that part. So, but we forested Wildcat Falls fairly recently, more recent than we did around the middle school. We've done some selective cuts in a few other places. I'd have to research back. So
Mitchell Woods
yeah, right.
was one that was cut, a selective
Correct.
cut, and that was the last one that we have signed. One of our properties, anyway, that we have signed as a tree farm.
Yeah, and because that one was also joined by Watkins Forest. Actually, there's 2 Watkins Forests in town. There's one over off of Lawrence Road, heading out to the transfer station. You'll see Tree Farm. That's one of the Watkins Forests. The other one is over by Mitchell Woods, which is behind Mitchell Road, off of Babusick Lake Road. But the Watkins Forest part of that Mitchell Woods area is far larger than our property. So in doing Mitchell Woods, in doing Watkins Forest, we just combined that with Mitchell Woods because it just kind of made sense. So, and the access is through our property. So I guess that one is probably the only one that we've really done it for forestry type things. So that, by the way, if you all want to know or remember, is going to be part of the new well that MVD is putting in, and eventually that'll have its own restrictions because it'll be a town well. So.
So the last time we had a consensus, but do we need to vote on this, or did we, I don't think, this is just a
I
consensus.
don't think so. I think, I really think the reason why it's on the agenda is because we received this
Right.
Yeah.
letter. I think, our consensus, and you summed it up very well, was that we weren't interested in carrying this any further. So, when we reply, I think that's going to be our reply,
I think so. Yeah. no.
unless anybody.
If someone wants to champion and help get the forest plans up to date and manage the interactions, I won't stop you. Because, there is value in having the plans and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm just, looking at what's realistic, with the commission, so.
The previous chair of the commission had his own tree farm and knew a whole heck of a lot about the process and what it took and the acreage and the look of a forest that needs to be cut. I don't think any of us have that. So, yeah, it would really need a champion, and we just don't have it at this point. All right, great. I'll make sure Gage knows that we stayed with the consensus from previous meeting. A couple of other updates that from old business. The GZA agreement that we spoke about and the Moosewood Ecological Agreement. I believe Gage is wrapping both of those up this week, according to our wishes, so those are in process. And next thing we have is old business, subcommittee updates. Do you have anything, Gina? No,
Nope,
no meetings
we're-
since?
Don't have a meeting for a while.
Cindy?
Nope, we have a meeting next month.
Okay. And Greater Woods has a meeting on the last Tuesday of this month. So was that the 24th,
Or next
I
week.
believe? Yeah, next week, next Tuesday. So, the only update from Greater Woods is the fact that Jack's lookout has been completed.
Oh,
So right off of School Loop on Link Trail, beginning of Link Trail. It's perfectly placed according to where he had it on the map, and it kind of dissuades people from now going down that steep slope. And it's a beautiful view from up there. Nice plaque on it too. So looks great.
nice.
And you should also be, Brigham Parker should be starting his project coming up soon too. He'll have his pancake breakfast. I wish I had written the dates down, but I
22nd.
think so.
And
And I did add that to our
So there's-
calendar.
yeah, there's
you
one-
did that the
Yeah,
calendar.
and Carson's gonna email me when he has the event link, and they'll
Yes.
put that, his on our calendar to his soup and
Soup and
salad.
salad.
Yeah, and I think that's the 1st of October, if I'm not mistaken.
Can't remember.
Pretty sure.
I haven't put it on yet because I'm waiting for that link, but
Right.
as soon as I get that from him, then I'll put it
That
up.
breakfast is Saturday, right?
This Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at the Latter-day Saint
Yeah,
Church
the
down on
Nashua
Concord.
line.
Yep, down on Concord Street in Nashua.
Yeah, right before Greeley Park.
Mhm.
That lookout that the scout just created. Now, would it be appropriate to maybe take a picture of it, put it on the website, and maybe and put an identifier on one of the maps on the website to show where it is so that people can check it out?
Yes, we definitely. So we have all of the other lookouts.
Yeah.
Overlooks, whatever we're calling them. We have them marked out on the Greater Woods map.
Mhm.
So it would be appropriate now to get this one added to the map when we do the next refresh of the maps. How do we had NRPC do our mapping. We had them produce our maps. They came out great. Since then, we've added a bench. We've rerouted a couple of trails. How do we want to do the refresh of the maps? Because we haven't really printed a whole heck of a lot more than we originally got, but we will need to print more eventually.
Do you think, like, would it be appropriate to do it on an annual basis? Just have a certain time of the date of the year meeting that we,
The only problem with that is, isn't it gonna be expensive to have to print the big maps for the kiosks if we do that? I mean, is that, the big kiosk map something that we wanna do maybe every 3 years, or? I'm just thinking,
yeah, I
How
mean, the
much is it all
changes,
gonna
changes aren't
cost?
that big.
I would think it matters on what changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we might, depending on, if we don't really change the look and feel of the map, and we just add an item, we probably can just put something on that kiosk map, right?
That's right.
We can
Mark.
make something the right size, you know, and just make it happen.
Or when we,
A little bit of,
when we
White
think the
glue.
maps
Yeah.
are gonna run out, try to estimate.
White out.
Yeah, like you said, it does depend on the change that we make. If we completely alter or add a new trail or, change a trail, I think it would be appropriate. But adding a lookout,
Yeah.
maybe we get it updated for the maps that we print to put in the map box. But I don't think it's something that we need to reprint the big, kiosk map.
is it worthwhile somewhere in the kiosk just having a what's new sheet? what's new? There's a overlook here and there's a bench here. You know, it was added this date. If we can put the picture.
That would be appropriate in Greater Woods because we have some real estate in the kiosk at the school and it's relatively close to the school.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it's, the best ad for the kiosk, the other two kiosks. But I think in the school one, what's new is probably the right approach there. Especially where you have all the people now, it's soccer season. You have all the people going up to the soccer field. Out of the back of the soccer field, there's a trail that pretty much goes right to that bench.
Right. I just put, cause we had the birding, and I can't remember her last name. I think it was Marina as her first name, came in, she did the birding class. And there was Gage, me, and one other person came, but, Gage gave me some maps, so I put those up. So hopefully it's still full. There should be 50 maps up there.
Is that in Wildcat?
No, that was at Greater Woods.
Greater,
up-
okay.
Up by, the school,
Okay.
so.
So we do have a place on our website to do what you suggested, so we could get some notice there. And we are working with our website developer to create a projects page. So we should add that plus all the other projects that we've done to that. So right now, she's developing the skeleton for that page, but we as a commission have to start giving it the content. So that was something I was going to start soliciting for this fall.
Nice.
So eventually we'll have all that captured, and then to go with it, we wanted to create a projects to do or projects that we'd like to get done page. So that way when scouts come to see us, we can say, here, check out our page. These are the projects that we want to accomplish. Do one of these fit your bill? So, and then if you want to, like, if it's a kiosk, well, we've done 3 kiosks. You can look at some of those to get ideas. So those kind of, that's where we want to take it eventually. So, but yeah, if someone snaps a picture of it, they can send it to me, and I can certainly make it more visible on the front of the webpage to give some credit to Jack and his troop, right? And awareness so people can go check it out, right? So, yeah.
I actually do have an update, a scout update. Guess we can, since we're on subcommittee updates and we're covering the scout bench, we have another scout who I don't believe we saw, but Pete may have seen because I think, are you on the Parks and Rec committee still?
Yes.
Okay. Anthony Milani.
Yep.
So he's building a kiosk on the Parks and Rec property at the very beginning of the quarry trail in the resident lot. So, about 150 feet from this kiosk is where the Merrimack Conservation Commission property begins.
This is at Wasserman, right?
Wasserman,
Yeah.
yes. Sorry, I didn't say that. So just off of the property, and really it's the first place we'll be able to actually display our map of Wasserman Park.
Nice.
Great.
So Anthony is proposing a bake sale to fund his 3 bake sales actually to fund his kiosk, and he has the dates set up for this coming Sunday, the Sunday after that, and then the Halloween party at Wasserman Park. And he's asked if he can display this advertisement for his bake sales in the Horse Hill kiosks. So it's really just
Where are the bake sales going to be?
the Horse Hill parking lot on the 23rd and the 30th. And then at the function hall at Wasserman Park for the Halloween party.
So Horse Hill parking
26th.
lot on the
23rd
23rd
and
and
30th
30th.
of September.
Do you know what time?
10 to 1.
10 to 1, and it's gonna be a bake sale.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have how to spell Anthony's last name?
I can forward you the email.
That would be great, because what I'll do is I'll put it up on the forum and on the Merrimack Outdoors and on the Positive Forum.
Yeah, he put a Word doc together, so it would be easy to.
Oh,
put
okay, if
put
I
on
can
there.
just upload the Word doc, that'd be great.
Sure.
So I would say he can put it up on the kiosk. I'm not sure we want to go unlocking it and moving the covers. I'm sure it'd be easier just to put it on the
Put it
outside,
outside, yeah.
so it's removable when the bake sale's over.
Mm-hmm.
He could put it up early, obviously. So he should put something on it that says reviewed with the Conservation Commission, so someone doesn't tear it down. And then you might want to let the
Yeah, let
subcommittee
subcommittee know. Mhm.
right. So
I got this email about an hour ago, so
yeah,
I saw it and I was like, oh, gotta remember to talk about it. So, yeah, I think it's great that he's advertising,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I spoke with him a little bit about it. I said, the fall, that Horse Hill parking lot is busy.
Yeah.
A lot of people out there in the fall. The mosquitoes are gone. People think the ticks are gone.
You might want to
Yeah,
have
takes you
bottles
a
of
week,
water
you
and a
gotta
cooler.
recharge.
Sorry.
You might want to have bottles of water and a cooler.
Yeah, that's
Sell
true.
those for,
When they get done,
Couple
yeah,
piece.
when they get done walking, they'll grab
Yeah.
some brownies and some water.
water, yeah. Water is you could make a lot of money for water.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could sell them for $1 a bottle and make
Yeah.
$24 on a pack
Yeah.
that costs you $2.99.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will definitely pass that back to him and tell him that we've given him the thumbs up with the adjustment that approved by the Conservation Commission.
Great. Thank you.
Alright, great. And then you'll see him at the Halloween party there too, at Wasserman Park if you go. So. Any other scout updates?
I do not. I am, it seems like Carson is going through You Engage. So I haven't been involved with Carson's benches. And, Brigham is gonna be starting his project. He's got his spaghetti dinner. No, pancake breakfast coming up. And, what else? I haven't heard from Sid Hemp. He needs to come before the town council. But as far as I know, he hasn't been put on the agenda. So I'll get in touch with him and see what's going on with that.
I can go down there just to verify where it's going,
Okay,
kiosk is going.
okay.
Just let me know when.
All right, I'll reach out to him and see what's going on with that. He's probably with school starting, just trying to get busy there.
And we did get the finished product.
Nice.
Oh,
Of our-
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yep.
I like it.
Paid
It's
for by
bulletproof.
River Network.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you, River Network. So I have not been able to meet with the manager of Home Depot there that we talked about, possibly working with to rent the postal digger. I just haven't had good timing to get to meet with her. So I'll eventually get that done, unless somebody thinks of a better way to, display those. But I think the 4x4 posts is probably
Might
going
have
to
to use
be.
the old-fashioned way.
Yes.
Do you want
Sandy
me,
down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
do you want me to contact
still the
Mark
granite stake.
Yeah.
Twardowski? Or
See if he has the equipment
see
or
if he has anything or ideas?
Anheuser-Busch.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's I didn't hear back from Anheuser.
Oh, you didn't hear back. Okay.
I did contact them,
Hmm.
but, Mark's a pretty helpful guy.
Right there. Yeah. You might have.
I can ask him,
Okay.
and
great.
then if you could come up with a date or something,
Right, and let the
and, yeah.
flyers know.
The brewery would wanna have it during the week, I'm sure.
Yeah. But the
Oh, yeah,
RC
yeah,
plane
right, the flying group, you're right, yes.
group, they might be interested in
Right.
assisting.
Right, cause there's this one date they couldn't make it.
Could be right.
Yeah, we come up, oh, definitely.
And while we're talking about the riverfront, and I know, I saw the email of the rocks,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I forwarded that,
I saw that
To the town
tonight
manager.
on my way here.
and the DPW director has graciously said, we're gonna see if we can help you out.
Nice.
I think they're looking for where the rocks are located right now, so they can better get an idea of the size of them. And then I would imagine that they'd probably want us to go out, I don't know, that we put some type of marker, drive a wooden stake into those areas where we'd want the rocks put down to block off these kind of created four-wheel tracks, so.
Do we know how big they are? We don't know how big they are, the rocks?
I just saw the
So-
pictures.
Oh,
Yeah, so let me touch on the rocks a little bit. So the rocks are part of a project that's ongoing. I'm not sure exactly which rocks we're gonna, of all those, if we're gonna be able to keep every one of them, or if they're gonna use a few of them for some landscaping features. So I haven't worked that detail out yet. I just had an opportunity to offer to, so the rocks are being stored on a parcel that we're actually gonna get donated to us over near where I live. So what I had mentioned to the person doing all the rough work was, don't take any of those rocks away when you're done. If we'll keep them all, and I explained what we were gonna use them for, and he was very happy with that because he was looking for a place to dispose of them. But he did state that, they've got some ongoing work that they need to finish first, so it's not something we can do today,
Yeah.
okay? And I haven't had a chance to close on it. In fact, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that parcel here tonight anyway, so all I can say is let's, one, as a commission, do we want to accept the donation of those rocks?
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
Yes, please.
All right, just
Thank
want to
you.
make sure. I just don't want to be talking for the commission because I'm only one member, not the whole commission, right? So, and then the other part is do you want me to ask if we can go and grab the rocks now before or as soon as possible, as opposed to waiting for everything to finish up? Which it sounds like we probably want to, right?
Yep.
Yes, that'd
Yeah,
be
so.
And DPW, Kyle?
He didn't give me a time frame yet, but it sounds like, they responded very quickly today, which I appreciated. I think once they get their answers, they look at the rocks. Kyle thinks he can get them in there with a 1-ton truck, and then maybe bring in a backhoe type vehicle to move the rocks where we
Yeah,
want 'em.
I would think a backhoe could probably do it. So I think the largest rocks are, picture that table, but as a rock. Okay? I would say the majority of them are half that size, but they're enough to discourage someone from taking their four-wheeler through there and stuff like that. And then they go all the way down to football size, so we can decide which ones we want. We may down the road want to use the smaller ones to create a rock garden somewhere or whatever else, and all.
or
all kind-
rehabilitate that old stone bridge.
Yeah, right. All kinds of things we could be thinking about. So
Mm.
that's why I said leave all the rocks big, the size of a football field and bigger. I said, but again, I told them, I said I needed to bring it to the commission to make sure they were all on board with it. So I will follow up, okay, just to find out when we can actually go grab them, and then I'll let Lori know that where she can go check it out. So, and the pile is fairly large. I sent you all a picture of it.
Yeah.
Picture this, all these tables together is the whole pile, okay? And it stands, almost as tall as I am right now.
Wow.
I think there are more rocks potentially to come, but again, there could be a few going up because there's a couple of lots that are still being finished up. So,
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we can get them there
Mhm.
and then, move them around ourselves.
Yeah, so let's take this to the next step. So that, the rocks are currently on the common land for the development I live in off of Amherst Road, just down from Amherst, just down from the Amherst Road parking lot for Horse Hill Nature Preserve. Right now, the excavator person, the guy who's doing all the rough work, has equipment on this parcel. It's the first parcel as you come down the street. And he's going to be utilizing that parcel for his own storage and stuff like that for a little while longer. But that parcel is part of 20 acres that goes all the way around the development that is going to be donated to the town as part of an agreement we had with the ZBA, the planning board, and ourselves some 3 years ago when we saw this project. The whole reason why the project where I'm living in exists the way it does is it was considered a cluster development. And a cluster development has requirements around open space or common land. And the common land, instead of being turned over to the homeowners, was decided to be turned over to the town because we also own 80 acres that abuts the 20 acres. And the way the developer laid it out is it gives us another 500 or 600 feet of frontage along Sauhegan River. For the developer, what it did was it meant that their houses didn't go down to the river, but they also didn't have to deal with the river regulations that come with DES and all that stuff, and homeowners and whatever else that goes on with it. So it really was a win for the developer as well. And it's a win for us because it gives us more frontage along Sauhegan River. So that last big 20-acre parcel, when the last lots are finished up, and the hope is to get it done before winter, I believe. When that's done, it's going to be, all 20 acres are going to be turned over to us. I was asked, well, how do we want them to leave that approximate half an acre where they've been staging their trucks and have the rocks are there now. There's logs there. They're going to take those logs out. Those are good tree logs. But so what they had done was they had created an access into it. They had scraped all the loam off of it, pushed it up to a big pile. Wanted to see in case they needed material somewhere, which I don't think they need it for. But when they're all done, that material needs to be spread back over. And I was asked, what do we really want to do with it? My comment has been, and this is just my opinion, is that we don't want to turn it into a parking lot right next to a bunch of homes. We already have Horse Hill,
Right.
Just 100 yards down the street, which we've expanded to accommodate this. And we're planning a parking lot for the combined 100 acres further down the road anyways, away from people's houses anyway. So I had said we don't plan on having it be a parking lot, so we'd like to have the dirt, the loam or whatever was there, spread back across again. And then put a wildflower seed, just put a wild conservation seed on it. And what we'll do is we will eventually just have a trail access that lets you get into the main property, but not have people parking all over the place. That's what I communicated, but I needed all of you to sit here and say, yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds right,
Yeah.
Tim.
So I think that, yeah, so.
It'll work out for the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will, and yes, I am, like I said,
Yeah,
I
it's a
live
good
in the
idea.
neighborhood, all right? So please don't let my wishes as a neighbor or a butter to our property guide you. I mean, back at the time, I recused myself from the discussion because I was related to one of the developers that were doing, I am related to one of the developers that was putting it together, so.
But it's a
So,
win-win all over.
Yeah.
But I
it
think
is.
so,
Yeah.
so that's my direction to them is to respread the loam, throw out a conservation type mix, and we'll go with it. And I told them to leave the rocks right where they are. So if we decide that we only wanted 10 and there's 100 rocks there, I don't see any reason why we couldn't just leave them and then pull them as we need them, as opposed to thinking we have to go in and remove the whole pile and store it somewhere. We have storage. It's easy to the road, and it's even if we leave it as a field, there's no reason why the public works trucks can't go back in and extract some more when we need them, because you're not really damaging anything special, so per se, except a field. So that'll grow back.
Tim, if, maybe the contractor, if he's got his equipment there, would he be able to load the trucks if DPW showed up?
Potentially, yeah. Potentially. Now, that requires timing and all
Yeah.
that too. So and I don't know when this will all come together. And I'm sure Kyle and Lori know that person very well.
Oh, okay.
Lives here in town. Okay, so I'll let them work that out. So.
Sounds good.
So when the lot turnover is going to be in a while, because it'll also have to go through a legal process. The town council is going to have to formally approve it. We're assuming they will, since we all agreed 3 years ago in all our meetings that we would do it. So, but it might be possible to get the rock sooner. I just have to talk and find out.
Thank you for making that happen. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Well,
Yeah, that's great.
I just saw an opportunity. I think anyone else would have too. So when you see a pile of rocks, it's like, duh, we need rocks. So,
Yeah, maybe even leaving a couple of them to make a couple rocks with a kiosk behind it, saying that this is a trail.
yeah. Yeah, and we, yeah, so. And I know some of my neighbors are interested in when we get to putting the trail in, which is part of the subcommittee we've talked about. But I haven't actively been trying to put that subcommittee together until we own the whole 100 acres, so.
I was back there recently, and I may be interested in that subcommittee.
Yeah.
I think there's potential for some great recreation trails out there.
So, and that one is all passive recreation when it was, when the 80 acres was deeded to us. So we should, and these, I'm not sure what the deed's gonna say for this property. That'll be part of our negotiation.
The 20 additional
20
acres.
acres, yeah.
It's all
Which,
fairly close to the river anyway.
yeah, so there's, it's very limited as to what we might wanna do there. I won't be part of the negotiation because I'm on a butter, so I have a conflict of interest, but I would highly encourage you to make the 80 acres and the 100 acres have all the same restrictions. It just
right.
makes managing it a whole lot easier,
Yes.
so.
We're gonna have to worry about people like you dumping your lawn clippings.
That's right. Yeah. Putting my camper back on the property,
Yeah,
all that
that's
stuff.
right, yeah.
I don't own a camper, by the way, but we've had those problems.
Yeah, have you seen those, something that you can set up so that you can put your bike and the bike will float, but you pedal and it's almost like you're on a boat. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
There you go, on the river.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Seems like a lot of work when there's a lot of nice trails around here.
Yeah.
Until you get to the waterfall and then you start pedaling really fast to get
Yeah.
away from it.
I'm looking to kayak into my backyard, basically.
Yeah, nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indian Rocks, right there.
Just past my house.
Yeah.
So I can get right to the rapids but not have to go through 'em.
Yeah. Earlier this week, you would have gone right over them.
Cool.
Get some rain.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Tomorrow some more.
Yeah, those are a challenging set of rapids. There's
Yeah.
people go down to them just because of what they are.
Challenge.
I've been through in Portage before, and I can both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Many
Long time ago.
a person is dumped trying to get through those.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so I think that covers the scouts and subcommittee updates. Anything else regarding our lands that anybody has to talk about?
Well, I can I'd like to touch upon town council,
Oh, sure.
kind of an update from us. I did have a question though, because I was told it would get done. Was the Wildcat Falls Fire Road getting regraded? It's all good?
As far as I know, it's good.
Okay.
I can double check with the
Because all the
subcommittee.
erosion from the rainstorms we had, so I just wanted to make sure.
They've been there already?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
I'm hoping it's done. I was told to be on the list, so that way I can check back with the town manager and stuff like that. And we have, and I don't know if there's anything, I sent out an email to the group. Thursday night, we're meeting with our joint school board town council meeting. And I didn't know if there's anything that this commission wanted to discuss, or thought that they had anything that would be important for me to bring up at that meeting.
Yeah. So you brought up as an example, the trail.
Yeah,
Correct, coming out of Watson Park.
yeah,
So that trail, that planning for that trail, all the way till it gets to the town portion of Wildcat Falls, from, behind the school and all that, that was planned by the town center committee,
okay,
not by the Conservation Commission.
okay,
Even though it does cross 1 acre of our property,
all right.
we kind of let that group kind of manage it, so,
Okay.
so they have more input on it. I think from our perspective, we would love to see that trail completed because that provides overflow parking for Wildcat Falls. If in fact we get it hooked all the way to Watson Park.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I would see the vision is.
Yeah,
to-
yeah, and then we can update all our mapping and stuff like that. The trouble with that plan is that there is a portion of state-owned land between the Effie Everett Turnpike and Wildcat Falls. The state owns almost close to 80 acres of its own land there. I have an email agreement, okay, which is better than we had before, that says that when they finish the widening of the Everett Turnpike, they will talk to us about donation or land management of that other land, but they wanted to reserve it until the widening was done. And the reason being is that the widening is going to require wetland mitigation and potentially land donation and stuff like that. Well, they could utilize that land as part of their mitigation process following their own state rules, and maybe that's how we acquire it. So until we get that state land, we have officially not been doing a whole lot of maintenance, even though it's been getting done under the tables of the trails that are on the state land that allow the access. So that's the one piece that we're not going to be able to officially complete until such time as the Everett's widened.
And I'm wondering if, kind of just a reminder, the DOT is gonna do a public meeting at the high school on the whole widening process coming through Merrimack. And maybe that's a time that maybe I can mention to somebody that this came up, and to kind of, maybe they can note it down and.
So I can forward you the email exchange I had,
Okay,
which
that'd
I
be great.
think, which I know I included Eileen as part of the discussion, so, but that way it stays fresh,
Okay,
right?
good.
Because who knows, the director could have changed and all that stuff, because it's been a little while since that happened.
Good to know, good to
So
know.
I'll send it to you, but CC everybody so you all have a copy of it. So when I hit Powerball, you'll still have it.
Well, you need the money from the commission?
What are the odds of me hitting Powerball?
You
But
don't want to hit it. You see all the problems with the person that just won. You don't want
I don't
that.
have to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, I just have to
No,
match
she
5
did-
numbers.
She did win the whole thing, and she had to go to court to keep her name.
You get your
off the
dream house
record.
now?
Yeah.
I can have a second one.
Now, there's nothing to discuss regarding like Greater Woods or anything over there by the middle school and anything like that?
You might want to mention the outdoor classroom.
Okay.
Shannon's on the subcommittee for Greater Woods, so she's been involved. But just, that's something that you definitely have in common. The back to the town center committee trail,
Mm-hmm.
the grant that the town was awarded to complete that trail going from Watson Park under the sluiceway
Mm-hmm.
and over what used to be the dam
Mm-hmm.
and connecting to the trail that we maintain
Yeah.
and recently signed. That grant is proposed as an accessible trail, which means it's going to be very flat and very wide and hard packed.
Matt, you talking about the federal grant? Because we went away from the federal grant.
No, it's a DOT grant.
Okay, the TAP grant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. DOT is the one that,
Probably, yeah.
so because it was, awarded that way, it's an accessible trail. So it's for all uses.
Yep.
They talked about then, because it's connecting into the trail that goes behind the high school, improving what's behind the high school as well,
Mhm.
up to the Merrill's Marauders Bridge,
Yep.
which then becomes completely unaccessible
Right after that.
after that.
Didn't you just clean that up?
Yes.
Okay.
But, me cleaning it up makes it, not accessible means wheelchair accessible.
Okay.
So they're going to improve this trail from Watson Park to another place that's completely inaccessible. So you can
Mhm.
have this one section that's fully accessible. If there was a way to say, can we better spend the funds rather than making this one little section accessible? Because I think they're going to run out of funds very quickly if they're making it, 4
The
feet
plan I
wide,
saw, it
paved.
gets past the dam, it gets over, it gets over to the wooded area as you start to go up behind the high school.
Yeah, power lines, I
Yep,
think is
and
where I
that's-
saw it ending.
And that's where it stops, with the future being to, and, you know, whether it's through grants or however we might do it, but finish the last section of that trail.
Hmm.
So, you know, it would seem to me to make sense to put it all, to connect it all together, so.
I agree connecting it, but to have a third of a mile be wheelchair accessible and then everything else not be, I think the funds could be better spent by just making a trail for that third of a mile.
Depending on how cooperative the state is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how,
It is possible, though, that, I mean, there's great picnic areas and viewpoints along the river there. I think there's some value in having that be accessible for a portion. You know what I mean? At least for that early flat section before it starts to go up. So,
I agree. I just don't think they're gonna be able to do it under the budget
yeah.
and make it accessible.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna, you know, I don't know what the initial study that they did, but I think once they finally go to build it, they're gonna be like, oh no, we can't do this for what we've awarded you. The town's gonna need to come up with X, Y, Z, and the town's gonna say, we don't have that.
Hmm.
So, I've seen these before, and I think that that's what the town's up against. So I just think saying something is the right thing to do.
Good to know. I'll bring it up.
So beyond that, I think we have a pretty good relationship with the school when it comes to the middle school district, because Shannon has been actively on the subcommittee. He knows what's going on there, so.
Sounds good.
All right, I guess we can now go into the minutes from the last meeting.
So before we start, when we refer to scout, should that be a capital S for scout? Whenever you refer to scout, meaning a Boy Scout? Or is that?
Yeah, I would think, as long as you're referring to a particular scout.
Okay. And then, when you're referring to, because when we refer to the town, a lot of times we capitalize, or town council, whatever. When we're referring to the school district, should we be capitalizing the S and the D? Or not really? You don't need to do that.
If we're talking about the Merrimack School District, I would think we would. If we were talking about school districts in general, we wouldn't.
Okay, because I mean, if they are, they're not particularly referring to Merrimack School District, but it is the school district property. So my question is, right now it's in lowercase, should it be capitalized?
Yeah, probably.
All right, so I propose that we approve the Merrimack Conservation Commission meeting minutes dated August 20th, 2018, with changes as follows.
Second.
So I'm on page 5, line 21. Chair Perry commented the Scout project, so if we're going to capitalize, we can capitalize the S in Scout. On line 22, construction started in an area that was quite a bit further from the area right now it says commissioner. I would say the commission had anticipated. And then also on page 5, going down to line 23, he met with the Scout work crew, so I guess we would capitalize the S in Scout. Moving down to line 36, at the last meeting, comma, Life Scout, take out the comma after Life Scout. Going down to line 45, Merrill's Marauder, we would take out the apostrophe on Marauders. It's under Merrill's Marauders Bridge, because when I went online, Marauders is just one word. And then on line 48, permission would be needed from the permission would be needed from the school district. to do the work on that property. Right now, it says permission would be needed from the school to do work on that property, but the permission would come from the school district, wouldn't it? Okay. And then on page 6, line 16, is the school district property, so then we would capitalize the S in school and the D in district.
I suspect if Dawn feels that capitalization isn't right, she'll let us know.
Okay,
So,
okay. I always get confused on stuff like that.
yeah, she's pretty good with grammar and all that, so.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything either. So, the motion was extended by Gina and seconded by Cindy.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 6-0-1. 6-4-0 against, 1 abstain.
That was
Steve was abstained, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that way Dawn knows for sure who abstained.
It was, yeah.
Oh.
She's a minutes taker, she watches or hears the video. So,
All right, seeing no public comment, we'll go around for commissioner comments. Cindy?
I don't have any.
Maybe this happened before I got here, but welcome.
Oh,
Very happy to see someone join us, you know. I look forward to your input, so.
I don't think we had an official welcome for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did we?
Did.
No.
I feel very welcome.
It's been a while since,
He's found a new person.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, so.
I mean, you're ex officio member, but I mean, we haven't had a new,
Yeah, Gina,
you're,
since you, it's
That's it.
been a couple years too.
It's been, yeah, I'm like 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's been a while.
welcome.
Welcome.
I'm not the big kid on the block
Yep.
anymore.
That's right.
Rookie.
Not the rookie anymore.
I'd like to suggest that we ask Gage to formally thank Jack for his work for the commission.
Yes.
You know, that way he hears from us some way, or representing the commission. So that makes sense.
That's Jack Elliott,
Yeah.
the Life Scout,
Yeah, for the lookout.
for
Oh,
going. This should put him as Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been announced yet. So typically we've done that where Jack's troop would invite us to the Eagle presentation,
Right.
and we would present him with an award or certificate at that point.
Yeah.
But I will make sure I'm sure he's been in touch,
Mm-hmm.
because he had some input where it was further down the hill, and now it's where it was initially proposed. So I think we're in good shape. A lot of the members of the subcommittee had seen it and were surprised that it happened so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure he's been in touch, but I will make sure he.
So the last thing I have is, on Wednesday, I attend my second Nashua Regional Planning Commission meeting as a representative for the town to the Nashua Regional Planning Commission. Councilor Boyd is also a member, and I know he carries the message from the council. But if any of you are aware of any town-wide issues or comments that you'd like me to provide my fellow commissioners, which are members from all the member towns of the commission, which is quite a few of us around here, everywhere from Pelham going west, just as far north as Merrimack, so it doesn't include Bedford, but then goes west to Milford, Amherst, Mason, Brookline, Lineborough, Temple, I believe, as well. So Mount Vernon, yeah, so that whole area. So if there's something you'd like me to provide as input, there is an opportunity at the end of every meeting for commissioners to make comments about what's going on in their towns and what are issues that are pressing. I'm happy to send the message along. So if you think of something before Wednesday evening, just drop me an email.
Do they have anything to do with the water contamination issue? I mean, do they like to be kept aware of what's happening with that, or that's not really their wellhead there?
I don't think it really falls into what their
Okay.
charter is, so.
Okay,
So they're an extension of our planning board in a way.
okay.
Plus, they're also the municipal transportation authority for this area. So they do a lot of, like the 10-year highway plan, the Everett widening. A lot of those things are also covered by them, and they do a lot of transportation-related projects as part of that, not their planning commission side. It's kind of a dual body, dual
Okay.
role, so. So there's the widening project that's going on down by Pennachuck Square to widen it out to Craftsman Lane. That's activities they've been actively involved in, so. And this proposal's to do more work further west as well to improve things, so.
Nice.
So some of that, plus sidewalks, a lot of the sidewalk project that we're trying to get in place to come, go up by the school and all that there, that they help support and provide GIS services and other planning services for that too, so. Plus for us, they've done a whole lot of work for us, our mapping they've done for us. They help us do the definitive plan for Horse Hill Nature Preserve a number of years ago. And the whole town center plan committee came because of an I-track project that was done through the NRPC. So when NRPC had decided that they were going to do something called I-track, which was a way to provide planning activities for special projects in multiple towns, I was a town councilor at the time, and I convinced I was also the rep to the NRPC, and I worked with then Kerry Deers, who was the assistant director, and Camille and Karen Baker to put together a project which eventually became our town center committee, and eventually created that whole town center plan and all that stuff. But the planning for that and the planning services and coordinating all that came from a grant from the NRPC to the town that I had a chance to work with and help put together along. Nelson Disco played a role in it as well, when he was also a rep to there, and that was originally chartered to be done by our economic committee. What was that? I forget what we call it though. So, and Bill Boyd at the time was one of his first opportunities to volunteer in town, was the chair of that committee. So EdCAC. So we still have EdCAC.
Yeah.
So. But then it morphed into the town center committee, so in the long run, so that's another project that they helped us with. So this whole town center stuff came from work that I had started with NRPC back in 2007.
Actually, I stand corrected. I think it was EdCAC
Yeah.
that was recently dissolved.
Yeah, I was
Yep.
thinking that it,
Yep.
yeah, that it finally
It was,
came to an end.
Last month. And we recognize all the members for all their hard work there.
Yeah.
But I think and this was based upon the chairman of the committee's recommendations.
So
They sponsor hazardous waste
they also do
collections?
that too. So I'm not sure sponsor is the right word, but they help coordinate and manage it. So the hazardous waste drop-offs that happen at the Nashua Public Works facility, and they usually have one in Milford as well, around the NRPC region. So they help put that together. So a whole lot of work they do. So if there's anything of regional concern or a town concern that you'd like me to elevate, let me know. So.
Thanks.
I think I've spoken my piece.
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Motion to adjourn? Oh, wait, I should.
I'm good.
No, so the
Oh, that's right.
newbie's job is to say motion to adjourn.
my
That's your job, so.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion by Steve, seconded by Zing.
I know.
You should have prepped him.
I know, I shouldn't have.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good night.
On like the removal of